Thank you for the privilege of allowing me to speak today. I come to speak not just for me, but for all of the creatures in the sea, past, present, and future, and especially to the children of today and those of tomorrow who can't be there and speak for themselves. Each of us brings something to society that over the ages has developed the fabric of civilization. We're all the beneficiaries of so much that's been learned throughout time, but never as much as has been learned since the middle of the 20th century. Discoveries that have been made possible by astronauts going high in the sky, looking back at Earth and confirming that it's blue. It's not brown or gray, it's blue. It's the ocean that shapes Earth as a habitable place in the universe that is really not a very friendly place to the likes of us. Those who've gone down deep in the sea, who come back with information about the fact that life exists from the surface to the greatest depths, discoveries that no one knew, no one could know when I was a child, but now it's a part of what civilization knows. We now can see ourselves in ways that our predecessors could not. It's taken all preceding time to get to where we are in the 21st century, now armed with that most important power that humans have. That's knowledge. Knowledge of knowing more than ever before about who we are, where we have come from, and maybe most importantly, where we might be going, and to realize we have choices. We don't have to just accept that what has happened in the past is going to take us and sweep us along into a future out of our control. We, in fact, are now influencing as never before the nature of nature, the nature of the world that keeps us alive in a universe that is not really habitable for the likes of us. It has taken 4.5 billion years to shape the early Earth, rocks and water. And over time, varying forms of life, starting with microbes, and now here we are. It has only taken about 4.5 decades to significantly alter these ancient systems that we inherited long before there were humans. There were whales. Long before there were humans, there were trees. Long before there were humans, certainly life in the sea persisted, including many forms that exist only in the ocean and that have lived in one form or another in the ocean for more than 500 million years. So we should treat the ocean with respect, knowing that life itself has originated in the sea, and that our existence really depends on taking care of the ocean. It basically makes Earth habitable. The most important thing that we extract from the ocean, we now know, is our existence. We think of the ocean, if we think of it at all, many people kind of take the ocean for granted, thinking that the ocean, I never see the ocean, I never touch the ocean, why should I care about the ocean? Except that now we know. With every breath we take, every drop of water we drink, I, you, we, all of us are inextricably connected to the ocean. The ocean shapes planetary chemistry, drives climate and weather. It's home for most of life on Earth. The greatest diversity, the greatest abundance of life on Earth is out there in the ocean. I've been a witness to a time of greater learning about the ocean and the greatest time of loss since the middle of the 20th century. Literally, we've learned more, discovered more, and we're still doing it. Only about 10% of the ocean yet has been seen, let alone really explored. Exploited? Yes. Explored? Not so much. Now we can see that there are limits to what we can put into the atmosphere in terms of carbon dioxide, soot, and the other things that we've put into the skies above. There are limits to what we can take from the land, the wild birds, the wild animals, the trees. We've seen deforestation on the land, defaunation of insects, mammals, birds, you name it. We're really good at killing. We have to get better at caring. And now with the ocean, the same attitudes that prevailed about the land, exploiting the land, and now coming to understand that we have to care for the land. We've exploited the ocean. In my lifetime, a decline of coral reefs by about half, the loss of marshes, mangroves, seagrass meadows, ocean wildlife, fish, lobsters, shrimp, you name it. we have converted so much ocean wildlife into products, into food choices. Some actually do rely on ocean wildlife for sustenance. But for so many of the people around the world who consume ocean wildlife, it's a choice. And we're coming to grips with the amount that we can take from the sea and what we can put into the sea and still have an ocean with favorable chemistry, an ocean with a composition, with integrity that holds the planet safe, that holds the ocean as a healthy system. Knowing is the key. As a witness, having spent thousands of hours under the ocean, diving, as a scientist, using more than 30 kinds of submarines, living underwater on 10 different occasions for weeks at a time. It's caused me to see the ocean in ways that if I had just stayed on the land, had never taken the plunge, I could not see any more than Jane Goodall could get to know chimpanzees by flying overhead in an airplane and lowering nets and hooks and looking at dead animals. Knowing the living ocean by being in the ocean has given me and other scientists who've had similar experiences to know that most of life on Earth lives in the dark, below where light penetrates, that most of life on Earth lives in cold water. When you get below about 100 meters, even in the tropics, it gets colder and colder, and most of ocean water is cold water. The average depth is 4.5 kilometers, the maximum 11 kilometers. And there's life all the way. In every cupful of water, there are gazillions of microbes and the larval stages of many kinds of creatures. Knowing this, respecting this, understanding this, that it's the ocean that drives climate. It's the ocean that drives planetary chemistry. Economists say, follow the money. Scientists today are saying, follow the carbon, follow the water, look at the ocean, look at life. Really, consider the flow of carbon. We get it with trees. We understand capturing carbon, generating oxygen. What about the forests in the ocean, the plankton generating oxygen, capturing carbon? About half of those ocean forests of minute organisms that are the basis of the great ocean food chains, the basis of ocean chemistry, the basis of planetary chemistry. That has declined on my watch, on our watch. Humans are altering the nature of nature. Why does it matter? Because we need nature to survive. We need the natural systems. And now there is a plan to secure 30% of the land and the sea, the natural systems, highly protected, where we can safeguard our life support system. Is 30% enough? Well, consider where we are today. Less than 3% of the ocean is highly protected, getting pretty close to 10% with some form of protection. In 10 years, can we safeguard 30% of the land and sea? Can we safeguard the high seas, the great blue engine that generates oxygen, captures carbon, shapes climate and weather, the blue heart of the planet? How much of your heart would you say is appropriate to protect? Is 30% enough? Would you dare lose 70%, save 30%? Can we not safeguard the most critical areas, at least, while looking at the whole system and think of it as our life support system? Learn everything we can about it and do everything we can. Land, air, sea, the wild creatures that make up the living earth. Treat them as if our lives depend on it. Do what we can on our watch. Of course, for our own sake, during our lifetimes, to see a time that we are still experiencing, a time of decline, to become a time of recovery. And finally, making peace with the ocean, with life in the ocean, with life on the land, with the living planet, to treat the living planet as if our lives and the lives of all those who follow, the next 10 years being the most important, and the next 10,000 years, to treat it as if everything we care about depends on it, because it does. Thank you.